Tensions are high at the COP26 climate summit as divisions delay progress on an agreement. Sharma was forced to delay that session until the afternoon as divisions persist, particularly between developing and wealthier nations over money to fund the Global South's adaptation to the climate crisis and requests for a new system for the developed world to pay damages from the climate crisis. The tensions follow late-night marathon talks in which slow progress was made, but clearly not enough to announce an agreement 18 hours after Sharma's 6 p.m. local time deadline on Friday. I would also like to make clear is that it is my intention that we will close this COP this afternoon, said Sharma, who appeared to be losing patience after 2 weeks of talks. This will close. And at the end of the day, what has been put forward here is a balanced package. Everyone's had a chance to have their say, and I hope that colleagues will appreciate that what is on the table here, while not every aspect of it will be welcomed by everyone, collectively this is a package that really moves things forward for everyone, Sharma said.
An agreement requires getting all 197 parties in attendance to reach consensus on each and every word of the final text, a painstaking effort that involves compromises and frank discussions about the world's structures of power and who is most responsible for the climate crisis. The UN published a third draft of the agreement Saturday morning that retained reference to phasing out coal and ending subsidies for fossil fuels, albeit watered down. A section that calls on parties to update their emissions reduction plans by the end of next year was also retained, which would mean countries come forward with new pledges 3 years earlier than they are required to now under the 2015 Paris Agreement. Several countries have expressed opposition to this new timeline, claiming it tries to set new rules to the overarching 2015 Paris Agreement. There are also divisions over language on just how much the world should allow the Earth to warm, the future of fossil fuels and rules for carbon markets to avoid double-counting emissions reduction, or cheating on credits. But the most contentious issue appears to be whether wealthy nations in the developed world should be obliged to set up a dedicated loss and damage fund to pay money to poorer countries for climate crisis impacts, which implicitly acknowledges wealthy nations' outsized role in causing the climate crisis. The issue has pitted the developed and developing world against each other, a characteristic typical of COP conferences. Many developing countries are unhappy with the draft text, which refers to a potential fund for loss and damage, but focuses more on creating a dialogue which could delay a fund from actually being established. Tasneem Essop, executive director of Climate Action Network, said that the latest draft text was a clear betrayal by rich nations to poor and vulnerable countries. By blocking progress on a dedicated facility for loss and damage, rich countries have once again demonstrated their complete lack of solidarity and responsibility to protect those facing the worst of the climate impacts, Essop said. We urge developing countries to act in the interest of their citizens and stand strong in the face of bullies. An EU spokesperson declined to confirm the bloc's position, but pointed to remarks by its climate policy chief Frans Timmermans made earlier Friday, saying that loss and damage is a key part of our conversation and that it was time to move and find the solutions to the damage the climate crisis was causing for vulnerable nations. Beyond the divide between rich and developing countries are major coal, oil, and gas producers showing opposition to an article that calls for the phasing out of unabated coal and an end to fossil fuel subsidies.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe